Question 1, the question is asking what is the area of the shape? Well, area is length times width. So we're just simply going to take these two here, 7x times 2x squared. We're just going to multiply them. So let's go back to our rule. Our rule says multiply the big numbers first. 7 times 2 is 14. But when you multiply with exponents, you're really adding them. So x to the first times x to the second. When you add those up, you get x to the third. Question 2, you have a rectangular wooden frame. So we're going to draw us a little rectangular frame here. And it has side lengths of 10x and 7x. So we'll just say 10x and 7x. And then the rectangular opening for a picture is, and they give us these dimensions here. And to be quite honest with you, this is 11x and 5x. To be quite honest with you, the 11x is bigger than the 10x, but we're just going to go with the problem here. The question is asking, what is the area of the wooden part of the frame? Meaning, if I subtract out what's in blue, we'll find the area of the entire frame, 7x times 10x. So if I do 7x times 10x, that would be 70x squared, because remember, when you multiply the exponents, you're adding them. And if I find the area of the inside, 5 times 11 is 55, and then x to the first times x to the first is x to the second, and we subtract that from the entire area, it's going to leave you with 15x squared. When you subtract, the exponents do not change. Remember, you're just combining like terms when you subtract, so 15x squared. Question 3, your keyword is product. Product means to multiply. There's my little hint. So let's simply do 6x to the fourth times 3x squared. Start with your big numbers. 6 times 3, that'll give us 18. And again, when we multiply with exponents, you're just simply adding the little numbers together. That would give us x to the sixth. Number 4. So this time they're saying that they're giving us a rectangle here. And they're telling us that the area, the inside part of the rectangle, is 63x to the 8, y to the 12. Find the width. So we'll just say that's the width. If the length is 9x to the 4th, y to the 6th. Two things you could do. We know that the formula for a rectangle is length times width. Well, I don't have that missing width. So couldn't I divide those two that I have and it'll automatically tell me what the missing part is? Absolutely. So we are actually going to come over to the side here. And we're going to take the area of 63x to the 8th, y to the 12th, and we're going to divide that by the length of 9x to the 4th, y to the 6th. Start with your numbers. 63 divided by 9. We know that 9 times 7 is 63. And whenever we reduce, we just simply go back and say if I have 8x's on top and 4x's on bottom, I would be left with 4x's up top. And if I have 12 y's up top and 6 of them on bottom, when I go through and cancel out sets, that would leave me with 6 on bottom. So then you would just simply come over here and match up your answer, which would be C. Now the other option would be to take the length right here and take each answer choice, and if I were to take the length right here and multiply it times this guy here, it would give me the area. So a couple ways that you can do that problem there. And then number 5 is dealing with these negative exponents. So let's get rid of all these negative exponents first. The first thing we want to do is let's divide our number. 14 divided by 8. So I'll draw me a fraction bar. 14 divided by 8, we can reduce that to 7 over 4. Now let's get rid of our negative exponents. If I have a to the negative 4 on bottom, I need to make that positive, and to do that you would just simply move it to the other side and make the negative 4 positive. But you'll notice that I have an a to the 4 that needs to go with it. Whenever you get down to positive exponents, they just stay. B to the 6th stays, B to the 5th stays. I like to write those above each other and below each other, just kind of keep everything lined up. And then our last set of exponents, C to the negative 10, we need to move it to the other side, and it'll be positive on bottom. C to the negative 3, we need to move that to the other side. That'll be positive up top. Now, we need to go through and combine our a's here. Draw another fraction bar, 7 over 4. A to the 4th times a to the 4th, that's a to the 8th. If I have 6 b's up top and 5 b's on bottom, that would leave me with 1 b up top. However, if I only have 3 c's right here up top, and I have 10 of them on bottom, when I cancel out those sets, that's actually going to leave me with 7 of them on bottom. Then you just simply come over here to your answer choices and match that up, and it looks like our answer would be C. Now, you can pick a random number for A, pick a random number for B, do the same thing for C. You can actually type this guy right here, just like you see it in the calculator, using negative exponents, and whatever output that you get, it should match up to the output of C. So don't forget about STO. That'll help you if for some reason you're having some difficulties on these. On 6, you'll notice that you have a little power right here, and it has something in parentheses. So what I like to say that, I like to describe that as stamping out the parentheses, because the power tells you how many times to multiply something by itself. So we need to take those terms, or that term in parentheses, and multiply it times itself 4 times. And you'll see that I have done that right down here. So let's split this up into 2 parts. Let's look at part 1. We're going to start with the top number. So we're going to do 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. That is not 4 times 4. That is 4 times itself 4 times. And when you do that, you're going to get 256. And then when you do x to the 3rd times x to the 3rd times x to the 3rd times x to the 3rd, you're just adding those exponents up. 3, 6, 9, x to the 12th. Now we need to work on the bottom. We need to do negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. And when you do that, you are noticing that you're also going to get a positive number of 81. And if I have a positive number divided by a positive number, it is impossible at this point to say that we have a negative fraction. And then let's multiply our y's. y1, 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 y1. That'd be y to the 4th. Now you could take your calculator and do what is 256 divided by 81. And if I do 256 divided by 81, that is not the same as saying 3 over 2. So my answer is not given. My answer is E. Number 7. We said on number 7 that anything to the power of 0 is 1. So if I have something in parentheses right here and I take that to the power of 0, guess what? Your answer is 1. 8. 8, what you need to do is look on your formula chart for this rule. Now the formula chart is not going to use B and C. The formula chart is going to use something like this. A to the m to the nth power is a to the m n. It's okay. It doesn't matter if they use B, C, A, or any letter, just as long as you know the rule that if you have power to a power, you're multiplying them together. There's our answer, B. Number 9, you'll notice on number 9 that I do not have any variables. So because I don't have any variables, I can literally type this guy in the calculator using my negative exponents. And when you do that, you're going to get 0.1 repeating. And if you take 1 over 9 and you convert that to a decimal, that would be 0.1 repeating. Or vice versa. If you take 0.1 repeating and convert it to a fraction, it's 1 over 9. 10, we're just going to simplify, so start with our big numbers here. 60 divided by 10 is 6. If I have 9 x's on top and 1 x on bottom, that leaves me with 8 up top. And if I have 5 y's up top and 1 on bottom, that leaves me with 4 up top. You can see here our answer is C. And 11, we have a rectangular prism. So if you want to draw a rectangular prism, you can do that. And we can label the sides. I'll say the width is 2x. The length, we'll just say, is 5x to the 6th power y. And it has a height of y to the 3rd. What is the volume? Volume is length times width times height. So we need to multiply these 3 terms together. So let's do that here. So we're going to go y to the third times 2x times 5x to the sixth y. It doesn't matter what order you go in. And I'll put my big numbers here in front of y. It's actually going to be a 1. So let's multiply our big numbers. 1 times 2 is 2 times 5 is going to give me 10. Well, I already know my answer is B. But let's take it a step further. Let's multiply our x's because we want to go in alpha order. X to the first times x to the sixth, x to the seventh, y to the third times y to the first. It's going to be y to the fourth, and you can see here our answer is B. 12, if we are talking about columns and rows of a rectangular grid here, and they want to know how many tiles that particular rectangular grid makes, we're just going to do length times width. So we'll take our first term, multiply it times our second term, and our rule, multiply big numbers first. When you do that, you'll get 651. And then when we multiply exponents, we're just adding. 18 plus 12, that's actually going to give you a value of 30. Be careful because you'll see here that if you do 18 times 12, you'll get 216. B is not the right answer. So you have to remember your rule for little bitty numbers. Multiply the big numbers, add the little bitty numbers. 13, simplify. So I'm going to rewrite this as 1 over w to the 15th power times w to the 25th power. I can make that a fraction by just putting an invisible 1 there. Let's multiply straight across. 1 times anything is what you're multiplying it by. So I get w to the 25th. Divided by, if I take w to the 15th power times 1 is w to the 15th power. Now let's simplify. If I have 25 w's up top and 15 w's on the bottom, when I go to cancel out sets of w's, that will leave me with 10 of them up top. My answer is B. 14, which expression is equivalent to, and I'm actually going to use STO, but I'm going to do STO on paper instead of doing it on the calculator so you can see how it works. So if it were me, I would pick a random number like 3, and we're going to STO it to the letter X, and maybe you use 6, and we're going to STO that to the letter A. So we would do that in the calculator. Then we would type this in, and it would give me a random output, and then we would type in letter A, and that would be our answer. We would get a match there. But let me show you what that looks like on paper here. If I take and I substitute for X 3, and then I substitute 6 for A, 6 plus 7, so that's what I get up top. And then on bottom I have 3 for X, and the A value is 6. So then, let's simplify this. Let's actually do, what is 6 plus 7? Well, if I do 6 plus 7, that's going to give me 13 as an exponent. And then I bring this over. And then let's think about this. If I have 13 3's up top and 6 3's on bottom, if I cancel out sets of 3's, that would leave me with 7 of them left over. And since I said that X has a value of 3, I can go back in and substitute that X. So X to the 7th power. So my answer is A. 15, simplify. So we're simply going to multiply this. 3 times 4 is 12. Cross out B. Multiply your x's. X to the 4th times x to the 7th. You add the little bitty exponents there. You get x to the 11th. And I don't have anything to multiply y to the 4th with, but I still have to include that in my problem. My answer is A. And then 16, find the area of the triangle. So the first thing we're going to do is do base times height, and then we'll divide everything by 2. So here we go. Base times height. Let's multiply our big numbers. 5 times 1 is 5. W to the first times W to the third is W to the 4th, because you have to add the exponents. But then it says divide everything by 2. My answer is B.